Welcome to another episode of Manitoba Music Makers. I'm your host, Frank McGwire. This show spotlights the great local talent we have here in Brandon, in Westman, and all throughout Manitoba. Also, we're going to stretch the parameters of the show by including bands that may be coming through Manitoba. They stop in to play tunes live in Manitoba. They're making music in Manitoba. So, you know, it all fits with Manitoba Music Makers. Co-sponsored by the Spark Web Radio. Go to sparkwebradio.com to listen to the local artists we'll feature on the show, as well as a great mix of classic rock music. Very unique. You won't hear it on any other terrestrial station in the world. I guarantee it. And it's done right here in the Wheat City of Brandon, Manitoba. Thanks to our title sponsors, WCG and Vern and the crew here at the studio for believing in this concept and believing in this idea and really getting behind it and championing the local music scene. I'm pleased to be your host, and I welcome you to episode number 2 of MMM, aka Manitoba Music Makers. And with that, we'll welcome our next guest, Anastasia Jane, to the studio. Anastasia, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time to do it and have a little chit chat and play some tunes for us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's start by talking a little bit about your sound. I mean, what would you classify your music as?
So other people have classified my music as being derivative. I don't like to use that terminology, but I recognized I'm very much influenced by the music that I grew up with. So that would include probably, if folks could say kind of 80s rock. Like within that, I think it kind of goes between folk rock, synth rock, regular rock, and hard rock. I really have kind of a bit of an ADHD-like bend to me. So I just get, I enjoy so many different types of music. So, but I'd say overall kind of more 80s classic rock, but still in a contemporary vibe.
Perfect, because that just segues into my next question nicely. I was going to ask you about your musical influences. Those questions kind of go hand in hand because you're pulling your sound from your influences, and don't we all do that, though?
Oh,
like if you're a huge fan of a certain band, eventually or organically, that sound is going to come out through your musical creations, too. So who are your top 3 bands that you would...
Absolutely. So the Beatles are right up there. They are.
I think there's probably a few people that can relate to that choice. Okay.
Really?
Good start.
Okay, I thought
Beatles.
It was this cult band. Okay. But,
okay.
Yeah,
so Beatles, all right.
Huge fan of Beatles. Lately, I have been listening to Zeppelin quite a lot for my influence. My goodness, just you're looking at the arrangement, the interplay. Like Jimmy Page is an amazing guitarist, Robert Plant's an amazing vocalist, but I listen to the rhythm section. John Bonham and John Paul Jones just motivates me, and listening to the interplay for that. So Zeppelin would be a second one.
Bonham and John Paul Jones could really just stomp out the bangers.
Oh my goodness. And
just locked in and solid.
Solid and complex.
Yeah.
You don't realize how complex it is until you try to play it.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, listen to the kick drum notes that John Bonham was able to play.
Absolutely, and still have it be danceable. My goodness.
Spellbinding, yeah.
Absolutely. A third is kind of different, a little bit challenging for me, because that's kind of interspersed across a number of different things. But I am going to say, currently, it would be a duo by the name of Tegan and Sarah, who are Canadian. I believe they're twins, and I've been listening to their first album called The Con, which is an incredible album. So, as much as I do like the kind of old-timer music, I try to also keep one foot in what's current as well.
Sure, it's a good idea. Yeah. I see you brought your guitar there. Ta-da, there's a guitar on the set of a music show. Go figure. So let's talk about when you first picked up your guitar, Anastasia.
My family's always been very musical, so we've always had a guitar kicking around. So I kind of inherited the family guitar. My mother just gave it to me. It was kind of the secondhand thing. And it was essentially because I just strummed around with it.
Really?
So I I remember from as long as I can remember.
You got a guitar to drum around on? I got pots and pans and Tupperware.
Oh, yeah.
And I used the couch cushions. They made nice kick drum sounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
but you got a guitar to do that on.
I had a guitar to drum around with. I had a guitar to strum around with, too.
Okay.
So I had, so yeah, as long as I could kind of just create things kind of sonically, I had that. So it's always been by my side. I've never had a period of my life where I wasn't creating music. It's been there. It's been my fellow traveler throughout my entire life.
So, okay, let's go back to those first days when you were kind of drumming and then strumming.
Yeah.
When you learned your first chords, what was the first song that you learned from front to back?
Okay, so I've been doing originals as long as I can remember, right? Because that was kind of like, let's create something sonically.
Right, but when we're first learning, we kind of copy what we love. So a song you're influenced by, or maybe something that maybe your mom taught you or something. What was the first song?
Oh yeah, I did not have the patience to have anybody teach me. I just kind of went full flow. So my favorite band growing up was the Beatles, but before that was Kiss.
Ooh.
So first song I learned poorly, but it was a party favor whenever anybody would come over and hear me play, was Love Gun by Kiss. So there I am. Yeah, I don't know if I even got that far, but I thought it was front to back.
I learned it too when I was a kid,
And then from there, I kind of then got into the Beatles and tried to do like Ticket to Ride and Day Tripper and those sorts of things as well.
Right. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So how many songs do you know? How big of a songbook does Anastasia have?
Oh my goodness, Frank, I can't answer that question because I've played acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and primarily bass when I play with other members. As you well know, we have played together in various incarnations in the music scene for a long period of time. And as a bass player, you're invited and expected to learn their repertoire of songs, which I see as a challenge. So every time somebody asks me to play bass, for instance, it's 36 new songs, right? It's essentially, okay, we're doing 3 sets and here's songs. And quite often, I might throw in or shoehorn a song that I know that I can sing, but quite often it's songs that other folks know, and I just see it as a challenge. So I'm going to answer the cover piece with a lot. I've lost track.
Would it be dozens, hundreds?
Hundreds.
Hundreds, okay.
Easily hundreds of songs that I've done, because it's dozens for one gig. Right, I would say, if I could say, thousands, because you play a gig, it's 36 new songs, right? It's 3 sets. You play with another band, 36 new songs. There you go. So it's I would say definitely hundreds.
I will take that ballpark answer.
Okay, good.
So, do you know more cover songs or originals? What would the percentage split be on that?
Oh my goodness! And I wish I could bring out my Venn diagram in terms of that, but my pie chart. But I far more originals, and part of that is because
next time you're on the show, you can bring
we'll bring the pie chart.
No, you'll bring the easel.
Yes.
I'll bring the easel. You bring the pie chart.
That sounds great.
Done. Love it.
But I have a lot of originals.
I bet you do.
Some go to fruition, some don't. But lots of little ideas, and that is. Numerous, probably in the hundreds as well.
Okay. Yeah. Would it be 50-50 though, would you say?
I would say probably, no, I'd probably give it 75-25 with originals.
With originals?
Yeah.
Well,
oh, yeah.
You've been busy writing a lot of stuff.
Not all of them are good.
I can't remember who told me over the years, but I've done a lot of interviews with musicians over the years because of the radio years and writing for the Brandon Sun for 10 years plus. I wish I could remember the name. Might have been Steve Poltz, singer-songwriter. He's an American. He said to me, if you're a burgeoning songwriter, doesn't matter what stage of the game you're at, write songs. Like just sit down, write as many as you can. Even if they're bad songs, keep writing because it's going to lead you to your next gem. And it keeps the creative process flowing. So even if they're bad, doesn't matter. You wrote a song. I
agree with that 1,000%. And I would add to that if that's okay.
Sure,
originals, I would say that even if they're bad, even if they're not fully formed ideas, it's like working a muscle. And that's why I say it's like keeping that energy flowing, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I think that once you stifle that, then something gets lost, and it's hard to get back into it. So not to put those expectations on yourself, or for me anyway, I don't put those expectations on myself when I write.
Right.
I just allow that. I see it as sacred time. I see it as sacred space. And when a song comes out, it's the world stops, and I need to record that, and then I can go on to do something else. But it's sacred, and I put it down, and then I can come back to it and go, "Oh, that sucks," or quite often, "Oh wow, I just wrote the Beatles' "Let It Be." That's certainly not going to pass mustard, right? But then there is those once in a while I go back and go, "Oh, that's not bad," or that sparks something. I do music first and then do vocals, or then I do lyrics. So I spark something, and then it goes, "Oh, okay, there's a lyric line. Here's an idea," and that is when, in my opinion, magic happens. That's when it's okay. I mean magic for me, right? I mean, it's the listener that can also decide if that's important to them. But it's something that I feel like I can deliver on this. I can perform this. And quite often, if it's speaking to me, my experience is that it speaks to somebody else as well. So that's kind of been my process.
Okay, speaking of original tunes, you brought your guitar. We're going to get into the first live performance here on Manitoba Music Makers. Anastasia Jane, set up the song you're about to perform for us.
Oh, my goodness. I've been a Pogues fan my entire life. And the lead singers, Shane McGowan had passed away on the day of this taping, right?
So, I saw your post on social media today.
Yeah, which is sad to me. So Olduvai Gorge is kind of that Irish drinking song piece, and there was kind of a punky kind of feel to it. So I performed this today, actually, just in honor of Shane, and just to speak to that. It's off of it's a song I wrote quite a while ago. It's one of my favorites to perform, actually, and it's very different from the other songs that I've written, but that's not a bad thing. I get to kind of lean into my Irish heritage with this. If folks can tell from my face, it's kind of pie-shaped. That's the Irish. That's the Irish that comes out. So I lean into that a little bit, and but it has a deeper meaning. It tells the story about somebody that is contemplating their own fate and what spirituality and mortality means to them. So it has that underlying bend to it as well. Quietly veiled, or maybe strongly veiled, in an Irish drinking song.
Perfect.
And it's off of my new album, House of Jane. People can get it on Spotify, on Apple Music, any streaming, and you can also buy it on Bandcamp. Bandcamp, please. I don't know if you can have that on a ticker tape somewhere, but
this one time at Bandcamp, I bought an Anastasia Jane song. All right, with that, let's go. Anastasia Jane here live on Manitoba Music Makers, and a hit.
Well, I'm standing outside of a tavern, burdened by events of the day, and the doctor's words echo in my head, and I need to inebriate this away. So I walk with a purpose to the bar stool, and I'm given a large draught of beer. My lips, once trembling, are stilled now, and I start to forget my fear. Well, the change in my mood seemed evident as a man mentioned the dichotomy. He cautioned the drop takes the edge off, but it doesn't sweep away all debris. I said, Father, you're preaching to deaf ears, 'cause I know it won't rid me of pain. I'm looking for permanent solutions that to you may seem insane. Well, he quieted him down, looking drop-jawed, as he understood the magnitude of this. He said, what you're planning's a sin, boy. While I stood up to go take a piss, he said, don't walk away while I'm talking, 'cause this talk here may just save your soul. I said, Father, there's no soul to save here, nor am I from heaven's fold. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I came from, a rock where my mommies and daddies are raised. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I fell from a tree and I left behind my DNA in Old Bay. In Old Bay. Well, I carried my drink to a table, leaving the man mid-tirade, and I scrolled out my thoughts on some paper that I obsessively regurgitate. Well, he came up to me, called me brother. I said, Father, I'm an only child. Said, ensure your place in the afterlife, but I ensured to flush his bile. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I came from, a rock where my mommies and daddies are raised. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I fell from a tree and I left behind my DNA in Old Bay. In Old Bay. Oh! Well, I continued to scroll on that paper, hoping the answers would come. What it all means and what to do with it. About telling my own wife and son. As I got up to leave, then he socked me. Then my front tooth got knocked to the floor. He looked pretty proud as he offered, next time don't leave your gorge. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I came from, a rock where my mummies and daddies are raised. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I fell from a tree and I left behind my DNA. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I came from, a rock where my mummies and daddies are raised. I'm from Old Bay Gorge, where I fell from a tree and I left behind my DNA in Old Bay. Old Bay. In Old Bay. In Old Bay. In Old Bay.
All right. Anastasia Jane, Old Bay Gorge, live on Manitoba Music Makers. And now that you've kind of gotten comfy,
Phew. Wow.
Oh, hey now.
I just jumped back out of it. That was quick.
Nicely done. So let's
you.
talk a little bit about more of your solo projects, which there are many now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're a prolific songwriter. You like to just kind of bang them out, you know, one after
Yeah.
another, which is good.
Yeah.
Right? You were talking earlier about not stifling that creative process. How long or how many hours do you invest a day? Like you must have a space in your house where you go and you, like a studio or a jam spot or something like that, where if creativity strikes, you go for it. You put pen to paper, you write you compose something.
Yeah.
How often do you do that a day? How many hours a day or a week do you invest in that process?
And thankfully, I have a very wonderful partner that's very supportive in Wendy Friesen, because for me, it's continual. Like I said, I talked about this idea that it's sacred time. When I have a song, it might be in the middle of the night when I wake up and
Really?
I have a song there. It's like, okay, sleep is put on hold. I'm putting out, and we have, and this was Wendy's vision too. We have my acoustic, my bass, my electric, kind of up right in our home. So I can pick it up at any time and play.
Wow.
I do have a designated place where there is, of course, a place to plug in and record. But I have things just on my laptop. Like I will bring out my laptop and I'll fiddle, Frank, with stuff like if I've done a guitar track, or I want to get the right drum line or whatever, because I do all my own instrumentation and all my own vocals.
Okay.
And I do my own production too.
Wow.
I have somebody, I do want to give a shout out to a fellow by the name of Alan Hunnie, Hunnie, who's wonderful at mastering. Biggest thing I could have done was, after being so invested in my music, from the creative process through to the performance, through to the tracking, and finally the mixing and such, I have a tendency to get very much involved with it. And sometimes it's hard to see the forest from the trees. So I do want this stuff to go on radio, and I'll talk about that later. How great folks have been in the community as well. But having somebody to master it, with a different set of ears to go, okay, we're going to EQ it. Oh,
you have to have it
godsend.
mastered, because radio won't even touch it if it's not mastered.
Absolutely. And for me to have somebody else do that, it's like, okay, I will see this project through from germination through to tracking and having it balanced and mixed. And then for that final polish, have somebody else look at it. So his name is Alan Hunnie. So I just wanted to give a shout out.
Shout out to Alan. Okay, let's go from the recording process to what you just talked about, to live. Favorite thing about playing live, obviously, I had Matt Corey on the last show, and Matt was saying that's easy. Playing a song I wrote and having someone sing my lyrics back to me. Is it that or something else?
Oh my good. Well, there's lots.
That's got to be a high to beat all highs, right there.
So I've had especially one song called "No One Can Eradicate Me," which is a song even though I talk about kind of being immaculate in production and such, and this new album, House of Jane, really spoke to that. I was able to work on it because I had I've had some health issues, and just to let you know, and to let the folks that are watching know, was that I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, and music had been. Things are on the upswing, thank goodness. But music has been very healing in that regard. So, House of Jane, which is my new album, was an opportunity to really lean into the production piece of it. So that's what I did for my emotional grounding. Now, that being said, the song, going back to what you said, for live performance, I wrote a song called "No One Can Eradicate Me" earlier this year. And it was, I thought, a really cool protest song about kind of what's happening, kind of the vitriol that folks in the transgender community and the gender diverse and the queer community are experiencing right now. And I got angry. I got angry with that. And some of the messaging from the States was, let's eradicate them. Eradicate? Like, what is this? Like, this sounds like Auschwitz, right? And it's so scary that there would be somebody to say that. And so I said, well, I can write a song. So the song was written from, by the time I left home to the time I got to work, it's like, okay, I need to get this out now. So I recorded it, very lo-fi, John Lennon's Give Peace a Chance. Well, certainly I put it out as a single very quickly, very immediate that way. And it took off.
It's good because emotions are a good, it's a real good propeller to fuel a song in the creative process. And if you're pissed off, boy, that's going to be a mighty force behind that composition.
Absolutely.
if you don't mind,
Yeah.
we do have a clip of that.
Yeah.
There's a local show you did at, where was it again?
So this was at Chez Angela's. This was during
So we'll see.
Pride
You
Week.
can set up this clip. This would be you performing You Can't Eradicate Me.
So it's called No One Can Eradicate
No One Can
Me.
Eradicate Me.
And
Okay.
it is, this was performed at Pride Week, and I had just released it. And here's an example of what Matt was talking about.
Okay.
That not only were folks singing it back to me, but they were participants in this song, which elevated it. I had to watch that I didn't cry throughout that, because everybody, and you see it on the clip, everybody was singing along, contributing, and it's like, wow, this is where magic happens. So it's become more than just me strumming along. This has been given to them. And other people have taken over. The songs being played in Germany, in Ireland.
Neat.
So it's taking on a life of its
Sweet.
own. and I'm very proud of it.
We'll check out some of that right now. Manitoba Music Makers. This is recorded at Chez Angela. Anastasia Jane.
But no one can eradicate me. No way, no way, all about us. Running our hands in doors that we're not right. All about dreams. We're willing to take out no more risks. Giving our place here with no fear. Giving our place right now. With no ideology. This is who we are. So just let us be. 'Cause no one can eradicate me. That all the world sees. That no one can eradicate me. Let Brandon see that no one can eradicate me. Thank you so much.
All right. No One Can Eradicate Me. Hey, that's the piece. Now I see what you mean with that John Lennon bit with the stomping and the clapping. And it's everybody's talking about them. Yeah, it's such a good boom, clap,
Absolutely.
boom, clap. Yep. So now, did you get them to do that, or did they instinctively do that?
So I got folks to kind of clap, right? And that's kind of, it depends on kind of the mileage that it has. And what I recognize in some cases with songs that folks will kind of do this at the beginning and the hands will get tired.
Yeah, and that'll be it.
But what happened with this song is that it started off with kind of ginger hand claps, and then folks just sang it. And as you saw, it was a mighty roar toward the end, and it's like nothing I had experienced, and people were getting into it. I not to that level of fervor.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, this next story, when I started my radio station, Spark Web Radio, in my West Brandon home, I decided COVID had us locked in, and I had a lot of time on my hands, and I'd always wanted to do this as a pet project. And very early on, I decided, well, I'm going to promote and feature local artists such as yourself. And I remember going through YouTube clips, and I saw one of your songs. It was called "Come Out and Play," and I listened to it, and I thought, that's a great song. I got to add that. I have to. It had that Elvis Costello vibe, very cool song, fit well with whatever else I was playing. And I messaged you and said, hey, I really enjoyed your tune, Come Out and Play. I'm asking for permission to add it into my local rock file. And that's when I discovered that you were transitioning at that point. And share that story with our viewers now as I'm recalling it now.
Well,
And I know you can recall it just as well.
absolutely. And first of all, Frank, I want to thank you for being such a wonderful support to me during that time. It was a very, and I'm going to tear up here. It was obviously coming out very visibly, requires a lot of nerve.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's for
journeying
sure.
into the great unknown like that. And this was during COVID, so I was writing songs and preparing for my transition journey. Come Out and Play was one of them, and that song was actually about my preparing to come out of the closet. So even though it happened during COVID, where, I mean, when I originally wrote it and recorded it, folks had thought it was Come Out and Play because we've been, you know, in lockdown for whatever, at that point it was for almost a year. But that wasn't my story. My story was being coaxed out by very important people in my life. I'm going to give a shout out to my not old, oh my goodness, but Mariah, Misty Mariah Phillips, who used to play with me in Misty Street. And she was a big support during that time. Wendy's a big support. You're a big support. So to have that at that time when it's like, okay, I'm transitioning and I don't really know anybody in my immediate circle, especially in Brandon, whose transition is visibly and vocally. And although I won't kind of talk about my day job here because that's not the scope of this talk, but I mean, I've been a musician here for the last 16, 17 years. So you said you were going to, that you liked the song and incorporate it into your Spark Radio. I think that you added to the story. Like you were a part of the story with Spark Radio. And I'm going to plug Spark Radio big time because you've been a wonderful home to a lot of my music. So thank you for that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah. So
very welcome.
So, but the song is about my coming out of the closet. And it's from my album, Confessions from a Closet, which you can find on Spotify, on Apple Music, and Bandcamp.
Yes. promote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was, and that was the first time I had learned your story, and you fully explained it to me, and I went, okay, that's fine, I'll support that. You said to me, I distinctively remember, I want to tell you first, I want you to hear it from me first before you hear it from anybody else.
Yeah.
And I feel it's that important, Frank, and I just said, okay, well, as we're old bandmates and known each other now for, since you started making music in this market.
18 years.
Yeah. So I fully support it. And, honestly, whatever makes people happy, I support. And as long as you're happy, I'm happy.
Thank you, Frank.
That's the way it should always be for everybody.
That's really nice.
Okay, so you know what? We're going to, can you play another song for us?
Oh, I think I can.
I know we got a little heavy there. We got to lighten things up. We got to lighten things up. So we're going to do another song, and then I got some fun questions coming up. Okay?
Yes.
Stick around for some fun questions, and we'll do the concert calendar as well. It's a new feature here. Second episode, and I've already got new features popping into Manitoba Music Makers. Go figure. But before we do anything else, what's this next song?
So this next song is one that I had written fairly recently called Cruisin' to Kelowna. And it actually has to do, I have never had the opportunity to do a Trans-Canada gig or a Trans-Canada little tour.
Kelowna's a great city.
Kelowna's
I used to live there, but I was a toddler.
Oh, my goodness.
When we moved back to the Flatlands, I had no say. I was 5. So.
So the idea is about Kelowna as being kind of this, for me, kind of a mythical place. Although I have traveled to Kelowna, but it's playing to Kelowna. The idea of cruising to Kelowna is kind of doing that Trans-Canada mini tour of Canada that you find a lot of folks do. I haven't done that. And it was kind of like when I wrote about love before I fell in love. There's something kind of mythical about that. You can kind of, it's unrequited a little bit. So before I would like to, once my health gets in shape and everything, I would like to start playing out more again, and I do anticipate in 2024 I will. But I wanted to write this song before I get tainted. I wanted it to be just the experiences that I heard from other musicians, from a lot of these younger whippersnappers, if I can call them that.
Whippersnapper.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be a little bit cantankerous when I say that. But just folks that are kind of going into city to city, just hearing about these stories, and it just sounded so kind of cool and romantic. And the song Cruisin' to Kelowna is all about that.
All right. Well, let's hear it now on Manitoba Music Makers. Anastasia Jane. We're going to go cruising to Kelowna.
Cruising to Kelowna, we'll be there in 3 more days. Sharing stories of all the gigs we played. Stopping in Regina just to play a winter fair. Then to Moose Jaw and what's happening down there. Yorkton's down in my brain and lepers makes me dance again. We'll go, yes we will go. Banff is gonna hypnotize the northern lights right up the skies playing. For a reason just to dance, bask in the music played and the love we make, and we dance, singing out every song so you'll sing along as we play for you. Heading back to Brandon with the gaslight in full view. Lord, I wish we could get a gig real soon. Left from Thunder Bay with some chips and lunch and meat. Our band keeps breaking and there's nowhere we can eat. Montreal keeps calling me and Halifax will set us free. They all will listen. We have tightened up, we're setting harmonies you won't forget playing. For a reason just to dance, bask in the music played and the love we make, and we dance, singing out every song so you sing along, and we dance, dancing the lessons blood so you spread the word as we play for you. Cruising to Kelowna, we'll be there in 3 more days. And I pray that we'll go back someday. And I pray that we'll go back someday. And I pray that we'll go back someday.
Well, it's time now for a whole new segment on Manitoba Music Makers I like to call Concert Calendar. Yeah, there are a lot of shows coming up here in Brandon. I want to start on the local side with Locals Only 12. It'll be coming up at the 40. It's a Friday, December 29th. Here's who's playing. You got Anastasia Jane, our guest on today's show of Manitoba Music Makers. Aaron Frost will be on, Brad Johnson, and the Talent and Midnight Renegade. They're a renegade, they got it made. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, Styx throwback, I just couldn't resist. Another great 70s band coming to town. Foreigner will be here. They're May 14th, their Farewell Canada tour. Kelly Hansen, the lead singer. I've had a lot of people ask me, Frank, is Lou Gramm singing with? Lou Gramm was actually at Rock in the Fields this past summer, did a fantastic job. But Foreigner's been touring for many years now with Kelly Hansen. He's a great lead singer, great frontman for the band. I believe Mick Jones will be playing lead guitar with them. Hope he is. May 14th. Headpins are the support act, and yes, I do believe they still feel like dancing. Other big shows coming up at the Westoba Place. Going to be a loud night when Buck Cherry and Skid Row team up for a double banger there, Sunday, March 17th. Tickets on sale on their website. Go check them out. WMCA's got some shows coming out. Check this out. They've got the Sheepdogs Back Road Boogie. they're coming to Brandon. And the date for that one is coming up Wednesday, January 24th. And then we've got Big Sugar coming up. They'll be March 2nd. Doors open at 7. The show starts at 8. Gordy and the boys are going to be playing most of the tracks from that 500-pound album. That, I believe, was their second album. It came out after their self-titled debut. Right On and I'm a Ram are my two favorite songs on that album. Which are yours? Doesn't matter because they're going to be playing them all from that album. Tickets available at the WMCA.ca website. Should be a good show. And then if you go later in the year in May, Queen, It's a Kind of Magic, a tribute show, a tribute act. I believe they've been here before. They darn near packed that place. So if you're a big Queen fan, you'll want a fun night out with It's a Kind of Magic. And that is our concert calendar. Thanks so much for watching. More Manitoba Music Makers coming up for you right now. Anastasia Jane here on Manitoba Music Makers on WCG Channel 12, co-sponsored by Spark Web Radio. And I think that one's going to be added in our local file very soon. If you go to sparkwebradio.com, you can listen to the station. You'll hear Anastasia's tunes. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back to our last chat session of our episode here, episode number 2. And it's funny because I had Matt on for the debut episode. And I met him through you when I joined the band you were in at one time, Misty Street. So I'm 2 for 2 now with former bandmates on the show.
I know, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect how that works out.
That's excellent.
Let's do some fun questions now before we wrap up. I always like to ask this one, rock star that you could have supper with, living or dead.
Yeah.
If there's one living or dead that you could just sit across the table with, have supper and ask questions, who would it be?
George Harrison.
That was quick.
Yeah.
That was really quick. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly, why George? And then what would you ask him?
I'd ask him for the answer.
Ooh.
That's what I'd ask
Wow.
him, for the answer.
You talk about mystical.
Yeah, that's why. Anybody, because he talked about, if you watch some of the, or if anybody watches some of the interviews, I mean, he'd been preparing for his passing almost his entire life. Okay. And so he, you hear Olivia Harrison, his wife, talk about how there was this energy that kind of came from him after he passed. So, yeah, I would like to know the answer.
And he might say, I don't know, Anastasia. You'll have to discover that on your own.
And I would accept that. And I'd say, thank you very much for that wisdom.
Okay. Yes. 3 desert island albums. You're on a desert island, you got a stereo, but you can only have 3 albums to play on it. Yeah. What would they be?
Yeah. Quick one to answer too, but I'll preface this because I think that these don't necessarily mean that they're my favorite.
I would imagine albums. A Beatles album has to be in there.
So all 3 are double albums because I need to have a lot of variety. So it's not so much my favorite album, because my favorite album of all time is still Revolver. But the 3 albums I would take would be the White Album because it's so varied. And it goes from Sexy Sadie to, I could pontificate about
Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Oh my goodness.
Why don't we do it in the room?
Oh, yeah. I love all of it. Even
I just learned that song was about monkeys recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Monkeys doing it in the road.
Paul was on TikTok talking about it recently, and I was, okay.
Absolutely.
Makes sense now.
Absolutely. And Dear Prudence is such a
what a great song that is.
Yeah. So the White Album. Second one would be easily Physical Graffiti. You look at my good 10 days.
If you had to pick a Zeppelin album,
that would be it.
That's the one. Okay.
That's the one. The
best song off it.
10 Days Gone.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's so much. Trampled Underfoot. Oh, so much. Cashmere. Like, it's so epic. The reason why I picked it, again, not so much. I'm not considering that my favorite. I think actually my favorite these days might be In Through the Outdoor, although I like them all. Even Coda. Coda.
Off that Physical Graffiti, I like In the Light.
Yeah.
And I like Night Flight's kind of cool.
Oh, that's
for a rocker.
Yeah.
And Houses of the Holy is a fun song
Absolutely.
too. And if, as a drummers listening, if you ever listen to Physical Graffiti, it can't be just me. Listen for John Bonham's squeaky drum pedal. It's in there on some of the tracks. It's a little bit more, has more of a presence than other tracks, but it's in there. and I'm not going insane. I know it's in that album.
Well, it adds.
And they didn't take it out.
No, it all adds to the ambience because
It sure does, yeah.
Because I mean, my goodness, it was. So that would be my second one.
Oh,
Physical
wow.
Graffiti.
Can't wait to hear the third one.
Third one is going to be a little bit of a different one, but still for the same reason, because it's so varied, would be the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack. Because I feel like if I was in a deserted island, I'd probably need to get my spirits up once in a while and dance. And I am a big fan of the Brothers Gibb and their songwriting, and they're just varied. I mean, my goodness, you have the Tramps on that. You have Casey and the Sunshine Band. Walter Murphy's The Fifth of Beethoven. So despite the fact that it's been considered bubblegum, I'd encourage anybody that is a scholar of music, listen to that album as from a student's ear.
Okay.
Because those would be my three.
You want just a slick, fun groove that's got stank all over it. You listen to the Tramps.
Oh my goodness,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was on our turntable a few times when I was a kid.
For sure.
So
Absolutely.
it's ingrained in here and here too. With that, let's talk about upcoming material and where people can get your material again. What are you working on now? I know you've got some stuff on the go.
There's always stuff on the go. Again, music for me is healing, and I do it ultimately for myself, and then I do recognize the importance of being a performer, and I do see merit in that, and I want to hone my craft so that I can perform and that it's enjoyable to other folks, and that they can, so that I'm translating what I'm experiencing as well as I can to other folks, right? So that they can experience it as well. But it has been healing for me. So the last album that I released, House of Jane, was that for me, and really I was able to dig into production more so than my first album, Confessions from a Closet. House of Jane, I was able to kind of pretend that I was George Martin, pretend that I was Phil Spector or Mutt Lange for those matters. Those are all producers, folks, that from way back, not producers in the DJ terminology these days, but falling into that. And so I finished up songs that I think needed a home, because I also find the album format to be sacred. And I like songs that have a home. When you release an album, it's an event. And these songs I find with House of Jane, stand better as part of a collective than they do individually. I've done singles, and I know that that's kind of the way of the future, but it's not potentially not my future. So the next album I'm doing is called Successive Approximations, and that is songs that I've been working on since. And I'm Cruising to Cologne will be on that, along with some others. Probably going to be a little bit more acoustic based, because these are songs that I've been performing live over the last year, and that should be out kind of mid 2024.
Super. Well, all the power to you. Stay strong. I hope everything goes well with what you're going through right now, health-wise.
Thank you very much.
Always send you the best vibes and best thoughts and wishes.
Thanks.
And so happy that you're able to come on Manitoba Music Makers. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. And you know what? If you're in a band and you're working on an album, you've got music on the go, you want to get it promoted, you want other people to hear it, you can come on this show too. Frank at sparkwebradio.com. They should have it up there on the bottom. Hey, look at that. I do this and they do that. It's beautiful. I love how this place works. It's slick. I love it. Good job on the control room, guys. So you send your stuff to me, and we'll schedule you to be here on Manitoba Music Makers, because you're making the scene happen. We want to support it here on the show. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll tune in again soon.